Rolling. Do we need to do the clap thing? Hello everybody, my name is Peter. My trail name was Deep Dive when I hiked the PCT in 2021, and I wanted to go over all of the gear that I used on the trail. In my preparations for my own thru hike, it was very beneficial to watch videos that people had made of the gear that they used on the trail. So I want to go through all the stuff that I used and some of my thoughts on it. Let's dig into my backpack and see what I took with me. So this is the backpack that I started with. Around Tahoe, I switched out a lot of gear, got a new backpack, a new tent, just because I wanted to go super UL. I'll go through the stuff that's in this pack that I started with, and then we'll get into the stuff that I picked up and ended with. This backpack is a ULA Circuit. It's a 68 liter roll top bag. This is the X-Pack version. It's not waterproof itself. It's not seam sealed or anything. I got this one custom made, meaning I just got to pick the colors. I live in Missouri, so I kind of thought that maybe the fluorescent orange would help me not get shot during hunting season. It hasn't happened yet, so I'm doing good. I really liked this backpack. It was very comfortable. They say the max carry weight is about 35 pounds. I think I maybe topped that out in the Sierras when I had all of my snow gear and 7 days of food. I might have been a little close to that. But my starting base weight when I left from the southern terminus was right around 13 pounds, but I ended up ditching a lot of stuff and switching to some lighter stuff. Later on down the trail, like I said, we'll go through that. I was very happy with this pack. I highly recommend it. A little bit overkill for what I started with. I was probably utilizing 40 liters of it at the start. It held a bear can vertically in here. I also wore a fanny pack. This is the Summit Bum with the little stretch pocket. I got this on Garage Grown Gear. It's also made of X-Pack. So the material is waterproof. It's got this waterproof zipper on top. I'll go through the contents of that a little bit later. I ended up not really using these hip belt pockets all that much, except for snacks. Also in the mornings, I would keep my gloves in here. REI Stretch fleece gloves. I took these from the start because I started in March, so it was pretty chilly at the beginning. I wore these all the way through the Sierras and then ditched them around Lake Tahoe. I also, in this pocket for now, I have my Garmin InReach Mini. This is the second one of these that I got. The first one, it just stopped working. It turned off and then never turned back on. So I had to get a new one, which kind of sucked. I used this a lot for the messaging. Hello? Garmin InReach, you gotta take it. It is what it is. You can imagine there being some water bottles here. I used some smart water bottles. I started with capacity for 6 liters, which was way overkill. I think the most water I carried at one time was 5 liters. Also here on the outside, just for now, I have my micro spikes. Because I was starting early, there was some snow in the forecast for Mount Laguna, so I brought these with me just in case. I did not use them, and I sent them ahead to Kennedy Meadows. These are the Camp Snowline Chainsen Light micro spikes. They came with a little bag to put them in, but I left that on Mather Pass when I was stopped to put these on. So if you were behind me and you saw that, I'm sorry. I got this Mountain Laurel Designs water bottle holder, and this held a 0.75 liter smart water bottle. Here on the outside, I always kept my ground sheet, just a sheet of Tyvek that I would put under my tent. I would also cowboy camp on this, put this down, then my sleeping pad. I got this from Anti-Gravity Gear. They will sell you Tyvek by the foot. On the outside near the top, I always kept my poop kit. In here is my trowel, ever ubiquitous deuce of spades, gets the job done. Anytime there were a bunch of roots and everything, I found that you kind of had to hack at them, but it is what it is, nice and light. One of my favorite pieces of gear was the little Kulo Clean. It's dirty. This is the Kulo Clean Travel Bidet. This would fit on top of a smart water bottle. You fill it with water, you squeeze it on your butt, and you clean yourself up. I liked not having to worry about toilet paper. I liked not having to carry dirty toilet paper in my backpack, and it's UL. It also was nice because you can give yourself a little shower every day. And you know, when you're sweating and really dirty, it's nice to be able to clean up just a little bit. I would also keep a little dropper bottle that I put some Dr. Bronner's soap in, and that was nice just to be able to wash my hands. I carried this Platypus 2 liter soft bottle. Let's see. Oh yeah, I always kept my spoon on the outside. Pro tip, keep your spoon on the outside. It gets dirty, But, you know, when you stop and want to just eat some couscous, you don't have to dig through your pack to get to it. It's right there on the outside. This is the Toaks Titanium long-handled spoon with a polished bowl. I like the polished bowl. Getting real particular, but it feels better in your mouth. This is something I carried with me the entire way that I never once used. This is the rock bag and bear line for my food bag from Light AF. Never hung my food, never felt like I needed to. Mainly I had this because I'd heard that mice were a really big problem in Washington. I had a mouse get into my food one time. My tent stakes, these are just some dusty MSR mini groundhogs. Spoiler alert, my tent was a Gossamer Gear the 1. That's the tent that I started with. The groundhogs were great, they held well. I also have this head net. This is the Sea to Summit bug net. I did not use this in the Sierras because we were there really early. The mosquitoes weren't out yet. I used it quite frequently after that because there were a lot of mosquitoes in Northern California and Oregon and Washington, the rest of the trail. That does it for everything that's on the outside. Let's dig in and see what we have inside. I know what we have inside. This is my ditty bag. It is a 4-liter Sea to Summit dry bag. I would keep my repair kit in here, toiletries, all of my electronics and charging stuff, first aid kit. I just kept some medication, some ibuprofen, Benadryl, Claritin, and I kept some Imodium, which thankfully I never needed. Instead of Band-Aids, I took some non-stick gauze pads and Leukotape. My battery, I would keep that in here sometimes. This is a Ravpower 15,000 milliamp hour battery. Kind of heavy, I think it's like 10 ounces. I never ran out of battery in this thing, and it was nice to be able to have that peace of mind. And then I could also text on my Garmin, because the battery on the Garmin when sending messages and tracking location burned pretty quickly. I paired that with the Ravpower wall charger. This is a USB 3.0 and a USB-C charger, so I could charge my phone as well as this brick at the same time. Should also talk about now my headlamp. I would keep that in my fanny pack. This is the Nightcore NU25 USB rechargeable. Did the old shock cord replacement. It's 360 lumens, which is plenty bright. It also has a red light and a proximity light. This would last a really long time without needing to be charged. In my fanny pack, I would keep my permit. I would also keep a lot of snacks. Sometimes I would keep my water filter, Sawyer Squeeze. It's a classic. I had this one the whole way through. Never froze, never broke, never lost it, anything like that. Still going strong. Don't get the Mini or the Micro. They don't have a very good flow and they clog really fast. Just get the regular Sawyer, don't mess around. I also kept my headphones in here, a phone charger. I would usually keep my wallet in there too, actually. This is the Chicken Tramper Ultralight Gear wallet. It's just some X-Pack VX07 with a waterproof zipper. It's nice, I still use it, fun colors. I also keep some chapstick, keep sunscreen and bug spray in here as well. Also near the top, I have this, the Elusive 1/8 inch foam pad. This one is from Mountain Laurel Designs. I cut this to about torso length. I would use this as a sit pad, and I would also put this under my sleeping pad so that the sleeping pad didn't slide around at all on the floor of my tent. My cook kit, this is a Toaks Titanium 750 mug. I have the regular bag that it comes in that's really beat up and a little bit melted, because I would use this as a hot pad, really lightweight. The size was perfect. It fit a gas canister and my stove in here, and the stove is the Pocket Rocket Deluxe. I recommend this stove very highly. It's a little bit big and heavy, but I like the nice wide burner. It's regulated, so it does a little bit better in the cold. It also has an auto igniter, which never gave out on me, and it has pretty good simmer control too. I hiked with somebody who had the regular Pocket Rocket. Mine performed noticeably better in the wind than theirs did. I don't have one now, but I also carried a Talenti jar. I would do overnight oats sort of things, and then I would also soak couscous and tuna packets for lunches. In hindsight, maybe I should have got the Vargo pot because it seals, and I could have killed 2 birds with 1 stone. This is my rain jacket. This is the Marmot Precip Eco Stretch. It's an okay rain jacket. I didn't love it. It's about 10 ounces. It was the cheapest rain jacket I could find that had pit zips. I found out that the material on the outside absorbs water, which is not a great thing for a rain jacket. I mainly wore it as like a windbreaker layer, ended up switching this out for a Frog Togs jacket, and that did the same thing and was a lot cheaper and a lot lighter. Next up in here, tent. This is the tent that I started with. It is a Gossamer Gear The One. Sets up with 2 trekking poles. This is the 2020 version, 88 inches long. I really liked the length of this tent. I'm not super tall, I'm 6 feet. It's nice to have that extra size. I'd throw all my gear in the vestibule and I'd have plenty of space on the inside. Packs up nice and small. This got snowed on one night pretty heavily in the Sierras when we left Mammoth Lakes, and it held up great. Kept me nice and toasty on the inside, it was nice and dry. And then kind of smashed on the sides, I'd put some warm layers that I might want during the day. And this, the hype on the Senchi, or all of the Polartec Alpha stuff, I think is warranted. It's good stuff. Some other fleeces that I tried were too hot, so I couldn't really wear them while I was hiking. This kind of was perfect. Gives a little bit of insulation, but it's still quite breathable. The material is almost see-through, so it gets good ventilation, but then when I was static, it would warm me pretty well. And that, in combined with my rain jacket, would be a nice, relatively lightweight layer to keep warm. And then this was also a great sleep layer. This came with me all the way and was probably my overall favorite piece of gear. Then my puffy jacket, the Enlightened Equipment Torrid Apex. This is just the stock one. I really like this thing. It kept me very, very warm for the weight. Packs down super small. I did sort of melt the wrist at one point. I think I got a little too close to my stove, but I fixed that up with a little bit of tenacious tape and it's good as new. They're oversized for layering, so I ended up having to size down and this fit me perfectly. Got my food bag. This is just the Light AF DCF Bear bag, flat bottom. I don't know if you can see it, but I had to cover up a little hole there when a mouse got access to my food. Yeah, I mean, it was fine. Liked it, I think. Usually when I packed, I would pack the rest of the stuff, my sleep system, in a trash compactor bag just to give some extra waterproofness. If I knew it was gonna rain, I would put my fleece and my puffy in there as well. I had the trash compactor bag for all my sleep stuff I for sure knew I didn't want to ever get wet. In there, I would have my sleep stuff. These are the Body Wrappers dance pants. You can buy these on Amazon. They're kind of fragile, but mine never ripped. They're like wind pants, super lightweight. Like, these are a large and they're like 3 ounces or something like that. They also cost $20. I also drenched these in permethrin. They were a good anti-bug layer as well. These are the REI lightweight base layers. They worked pretty well, and in conjunction with the dance pants were a pretty warm system on my legs. These have cat hair on them. These are just a pair of REI merino wool socks. Just slept in them. I would also sleep in Cumulus down booties. The first night I cowboy camped, my feet got really cold, so I picked these up at 2 Foot Adventures in Julian, and they kept my feet nice and toasty. I definitely would have started with these if I had them. I would probably get the Enlightened Equipment Torrid booties. Down here, I would also keep my extra pair of socks. It was nice to be able to have a couple pairs of socks so that one pair didn't get obscenely dirty. Let's talk about my sleeping pad. This is the sleeping pad that I started with. It is the Thermarest Neo Air X Lite in size large. If they had a regular wide available when I purchased this, I would have got that instead. Coldest night I think I got was about 20 degrees, sleeping on snow in the Sierras, and I was nice and toasty. I ended up switching this out for an Uber Light in Tahoe. That Uber Light, it was comfortable considering the fact that it's only 8 ounces, but it didn't really last. A common problem with these, the baffles delaminate, and that happened to the Uber Light, so I had to return that. I really like this large Neo Air X Lite. I took a pillow. This is the Sea to Summit Aeros pillow. It took me a while to get used to sleeping on an air pillow. This is nice and lightweight, and I much prefer this to the old sleeping on your clothes or food or something like that. Lastly is my quilt. I had the UGQ Bandit XL in the 20-degree version. This thing is in a medium Hilltop Packs dry bag. I probably should have gone to the large size, mainly so I wasn't squishing this down so much. I really, really like this quilt. The width is 60 inches, which was very nice for colder nights bundling up. It has the dynamic tension control, which really helps it cinch around you and not pull up when you're rolling around. Nice wide foot box. I was plenty toasty warm all the way through. I ended up switching this out just because we're hiking, it was like in the hundreds a few days, and this was just way too hot for the nights. I'm a big quilt fan. That concludes part 1. All right, so I knew I was gonna be taking a week off in Tahoe. I had some new stuff sent there. I wanted to downsize to a smaller backpack, and I thought, why not go all the way and just try to get the base weight as low as possible. So we'll go through the stuff that I swapped out and my thoughts and feelings on that. The first and most important item that I swapped out was my backpack. I ditched the circuit and went with a Dandy Packs standard pack. This is a 35-liter frameless pack. I really liked this pack. Dandy Packs is a really small company. It's just one guy who's making backpacks. I was a little apprehensive about switching to a frameless pack while on the trail. I was a little concerned that it would be just really uncomfortable and kind of make me have a bad time. But this pack has some really thick shoulder straps and they're really wide, so they distributed the weight really well. There's also a removable hip belt on here. The best feature of this is the pocket down here on the bottom. Just a little stash pocket. You can access things really easily without having to take the pack off. So I was really happy that I went with this, and especially going down in base weight, getting rid of a lot of stuff and going with lighter options. It was really comfortable with my base weight right around 9 pounds. I probably maxed out with water and food at maybe 25 pounds. If I was gonna do a through hike again, I would definitely use the Dandy Packs from the beginning. I really liked the pack. I also swapped out tents for the Tarp Tent Aeon Li. This is a DCF tent that sets up with a single trekking pole. There are some carbon fiber struts in it that give it a little bit more structure. It did take me several attempts to really figure out how to set this up the best. It is a little bit more complicated than some other tents out there. I really liked it. A lot of space on the inside, nice big vestibule. The only downside is this tent does not compress any smaller than this because of the carbon fiber struts that are in there. With the small pack, I did have to keep this on the outside of my pack. With stakes, it weighs like 18 ounces, which is crazy. It's so light. I also switched out my rain jacket for a Frog Togs rain jacket. Frog Togs is cheap for a reason. They're really lightweight, really fragile. And this weighs about half of what my Marmot rain jacket weighs, so it was a nice switch. This combined with the Senchi was a pretty warm layer as well. So I did also end up sending my puffy jacket home. Frog Togs, it's fine, but lightweight and cheap. Since it was so hot, my 20-degree quilt was not really doing anything because at night it would be too hot to have the quilt on, but just chilly enough that I needed something. So I ended up switching out my quilt. This is the REI Magma Trail Quilt. It's a 30-degree quilt. This is the long version, really lightweight too. It only weighs 1 pound, 4 ounces for the large size. If you're gonna buy this at full price, there are better options that you can get for a little bit cheaper. I'll keep using this definitely on summer trips and anytime it's a little bit warmer out. The last piece of gear that I switched out was my sleeping pad. I swapped out the Neo Air X Lite for the Neo Air Uber Lite. The Uber Lite lasted me from Tahoe to Medford, where I picked up the only sleeping pad that REI had in stock, which is the big Agnes AXL Air Insulated sleeping pad. I kind of took a gamble on this because the reviews for it were terrible. I ended up really liking this. I slept really good on this thing. Part of that was because I was so tired at the end that I could have slept on anything. I don't know that I recommend it because yours might not be good according to reviews that I saw, but this one ended up working out for me really well. Go over quickly the stuff I took in just the Sierras. I had the old Camp Corsa. I don't know how to use an ice axe, but I carried it with me. It was a really low snow year, but what I did use this for is taking pictures and looking really cool on top of Forester Pass in Mount Whitney. This is the Bear Vault BV 550. It's a bear can, sucks to carry, but you gotta have one. I also had these Outdoor Research rain mitts. Another thing that I had and I never used. I don't know if they work or not, but I had them with me, so they're in the video. I guess to round it out, I'll talk about the clothing that I wore. The main shirt that I started with was this Mountain Hardwear Canyon shirt. It's a long sleeve sun shirt with a little extendable collar. Starting early in the desert and the Sierras, it was pretty cold. So this I found was kind of the perfect temperature. Once it did start getting hot, I did switch to a short sleeve shirt, this REI Active Pursuit t-shirt, and wore this the rest of the way. The other shirt that I kept with me at the beginning was this Outdoor Research Eco short sleeve shirt. I use this as a sleep shirt. I got rid of it in Tahoe because I was trying to be UL. I wish I would not have gotten rid of it. It's so light, just to be able to change into a quote-unquote clean shirt at night. It was something I wished I could have done. I started the trail in the REI On the Trail run shorts. Those got very destroyed. They got a big hole in them, and then the ends started fraying, so it kind of looked like I was wearing cutoffs. I mailed myself these Janji AFO 5-inch inseam running shorts and wore these to the end. I wish they had pockets, but very, very comfortable. For a hat, I started in the Sunday afternoon sun hat, and that kept the sun off me pretty well. Eventually, I switched to this REI running hat. I also picked up REI sleep socks, mainly because my feet would get so dirty and I wanted to try to keep my sleeping pad and quilt a little bit clean. And I think that's everything. I might have forgotten some little tiny odds and ends there, but nothing important, I don't think. I hope that this was beneficial to you watching. If you made it this far, if you're planning on hiking the trail soon, enjoy. Feel free to reach out if you have any other questions, or if I should do a more in-depth video about any one piece of gear or any aspect of the trail. Anything like that, let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Enjoy your time out on the trail, and I love you.